Alright, good evening ladies. In today's video we're going to be doing a deep dive into Helium and specifically the mobile token. So Helium was actually one of the first Depin projects, the first decentralized physical infrastructure projects ever in crypto. I believe it was actually the first. And if you've been watching my most recent videos, you'll have seen I've becoming very interested in the Depin space, in the Depin niche, because it's one of the few use cases that crypto actually adds a lot of value. Because as we know, apart from like payments and Depin, a lot of the projects, a lot of the niches in crypto are just speculative use cases. They're not actually providing real world value yet. So it's just speculation that they will in the future. However, the Depin space, like the likes of Render, the likes of Shadow, the likes of Hivemapper, all of which I've done videos on, I'm getting very interested in this niche in particular because it's already faster, it's already cheaper, it already has certain advantages. For example, mobile, which we're going to be talking about in today's video, it's offering a $20 per month mobile network plan, as opposed to, I think T-Mobile is like $120 in America, just outrageous prices per month. And like in Ireland, I'm paying €20 per month. Nevertheless, in America it seems way more expensive. So this $20 per month plan is outrageously cheap over there. So that's real world value being provided to the end user. And the end user doesn't even care, doesn't really know that it's on a crypto rail. They don't really care about all that. They're just getting a much cheaper data plan. And how it's working is that, say you own a little shop or you own a house in a kind of a congested zone, you can put up one of these little mobile hotspots and you're actually going to be a hotspot for the people using the mobile network. And if there's no mobile network or one of these hotspots in range of you, it's just going to switch over automatically to T-Mobile. Now, but when people are in range of your hotspot, you're essentially going to be earning from them for providing the data to them. Now, they're obviously not going to be going into their phone and saying, oh, send this guy 3 cents. It's obviously done automatically on crypto rails. And Helium, being one of the first Depin projects, had their own blockchain, but they've now migrated to Solana. And as we can see, just like with Helium, which was my last, or Hivemapper, which was my last video, a lot of these Depin projects are migrating to Solana. Like, they don't need their own LoRaWAN blockchain. They don't need all that headache of, like, they just want to focus on their business. They don't want to have to focus on being a crypto company on top of that. So a lot of them are just migrating over to Solana, which is just a perfectly engineered for Depin and for this sector as a whole. And obviously that is very bullish for Solana. It's not going to be the last project that does this. So far there's been Render, Hivemapper and Helium have all migrated to Solana. So Helium actually started off, like, their original vision was to provide cellular networks for IoT or Internet of Things. So but IoT, as a lot of you, like, that was really hyped 5 years ago, when I think Helium actually started in 2013, so over 10 years ago. But IoT hasn't really taken off yet, or potentially will never take off. So they've kind of shifted their business from being IoT focused to being, like, they kind of made the IoT, essentially the IoT, like, you can still spin up one of these IoT Internet of Things hotspots and you can still earn the IoT token, the Helium IoT token, but they've basically split off and they've let that become its own project now. And the company has now started has started the mobile sector of their business, which is completely focused on mobile networks and 5G. So that business is now running by itself. And yeah, like, the IoT, as you can see, like, the price hasn't really been doing the IoT, even though it's the first project. It's kind of has one of the smaller market caps out of the 3 tokens in the Helium ecosystem. So there's Helium there. So there's the Helium token, HNT. There's the IoT token, which is Internet of Things, and now there's the mobile token, the most recent of which. Now, the people on these mobile plans aren't just getting a really cheap plan. They're not, like, it started out at $5. They bumped it up to $20. But not only are they getting that, they can actually earn Helium tokens, or the mobile tokens, excuse me, for providing their mapping data. So basically telling the Helium Foundation, oh, this is where I am at all times, this is where I need mobile coverage. So for providing that service of just letting them know where you are, they pay you in more tokens. So some people are essentially getting their mobile for free, and some people are actually getting paid. Like a few weeks ago, people were getting paid for providing that data. So they're spending $20 on their mobile plan, but they were making back $50 per month. So it was, now obviously that seems a little bit unsustainable, but it was just because the token price had gone up so much because people were speculating, like, look how amazing this is. They're offering real world value. So the token price went absolutely parabolic. Okay, so then I was looking at this project and I'm like, okay, but where is the buying pressure for the mobile token going to come in the long term over the next couple of years? If the people on the hotspots, they're getting mobile tokens for providing the service, they're getting paid out in mobile tokens, they're probably going to go ahead and sell those mobile tokens. And even the people on the data plans are earning mobile tokens as well for providing their data or for providing their mapping. So they're probably going to be selling their mobile tokens as well. So where is the buyer going to be coming from? And that was one of the big problems that I initially saw with this project. So I was trying to look out for some sinks of the mobile token, or what would actually burn some mobile tokens. Because as we saw in my last video, if you watched my last video, with Hivemapper, people actually have to pay in Hivemapper tokens to access the mapping data. Now with Helium, with the mobile token, this information is really hard to find. Any of the influencers talking about this project, they don't really know that deeply what's going on, so it's very hard to find this information. Even all throughout the website, all throughout the interviews with the founders, I spent all day looking for this information, couldn't really find it, but I started to find some sinks for the mobile token, one of which was one of their improvement proposals, which basically meant that anytime someone spins up one of these hotspots, they have to spend like $40, they have to burn like $40 worth of the mobile token in order to be allowed to set that up. So that's one potential sink. And then finally on their website, I found this couple of paragraphs basically saying that data credits, if you want to access this service, so basically what is happening on the back end, or how it seems, is if you're on this mobile data plan, you're paying that $20, that's getting converted into these data credits. And those data credits, they're US dollar stable coins, kind of, you can think of them like that, but it's not exactly that, but it doesn't matter. And they're converted then into Helium, and that Helium is then burned. And that the Helium, the same number of Helium that is burned, has to be emitted to the people who are providing the hotspots. So essentially they balance each other out. There's no net new supply or reduction in supply. So there's no deflationary effects because, as I said, these two mechanisms balance each other out. However, that doesn't factor in the token emissions. So the token emission schedule, only about 40% of the tokens of the total supply are currently in circulation. So there's still 60% of token emissions to come out, and that's essentially what's funding these. That's essentially why I think the network plan is so cheap, and the people who are running these hotspots are also making really good money. So basically they're getting subsidized by the people buying the tokens on speculation at the moment, because there's net new emissions coming in all the time, paying out these mobile rewards. So this is an estimate of how much you can make from setting up one of these rigs at the moment. So at current prices, roughly you can make about $12 per day. Now keep in mind the price has dropped like 70% from all-time high. It went up like 50x and now it's taking a bit of a pullback, but at current prices you're making about $12 per day from a device that costs you $500. So your payback period is 44 days, and then everything after that, that's just, free. That's just free money then after that. So potentially, if you are interested in this project in a bit of a deeper sense, buying into the token just as a speculation, for me, just does not seem very interesting. But setting up one of these hotspots could be something a little bit more lucrative. However, that's not something I'm interested in doing personally. Now, potentially, I talked about a positive feedback loop that happened with Honey. Potentially, there is a bit of a positive feedback, a similar one with this project. So essentially, the positive feedback loop with Honey was, say for example, the Honey price went up, That would incentivize more people to go out and create more and better and more up-to-date mapping data. With more accurate mapping data, customers are more willing to go ahead and buy Honey tokens to access that data. So now if we could see something similar, some sort of similar positive feedback loop with the mobile token, I would be a little bit more interested in this project. However, it's just completely unclear to me whether the people paying for the mobile network, like how much of a sink is coming from, like the people paying the $20 per month on the mobile plan, how much of that is getting converted into Helium and being burnt converted into mobile and being burnt. And because there's also an equilibrium with the amount of supply being burnt and the amount of supply being rewarded, but there's also a lot of token inflation on top of that, the only way the price can go up is if the speculation is much higher than the token inflation, which is, definitely going to be a dampener on the potential upside of this token. And the other token sink, which is people setting up hotspots, which costs about $40, $10, $40, depending on which piece of equipment, and that $10 is burnt. Once you reach saturation, when there's hotspots, like already there's hundreds of thousands of hotspots around the world, but once you reach a saturation point where there's kind of enough hotspots, then that token sink is also going to disappear. So to summarize, this project is extremely interesting. It's growing extremely rapidly and it's adding a lot of value to society. But from an investment perspective, buying the mobile token just doesn't seem super interesting to me. However, if you do like this project, potentially looking into setting up one of these hotspots could be an interesting play. But for me, there's more interesting investing opportunities over the next couple of years that are probably going to do extremely well. And this to me just doesn't look like one of them. So thank you so much for watching. Sorry if I'm hating on your bags, but just giving my honest opinion. So see you in the next one. Cheers.